Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you a video on the super weapons versus the Teostra Bow, the best meta weapons. So this video analyzes the Teostra Bow and the other current super weapons in Monster Hunter now, cause guess what? There's gonna be more! And the thing about super weapons is that they take a lot of time and effort to max out. They may also require you to defeat some of the most powerful monsters in the entire game, so they're not a walk in the park. But if you do put in the time and the effort and you have the resolve, congratulations, you have some of the most powerful armaments in the entire game. First, we're going to start off as what is a super weapon? Well, instead of just calling something meta, which is the boring term for it, because the way Monster Hunter Now players define meta, it's always thrown around as what it's not actually supposed to be in gaming, which is the most powerful, most efficient way to defeat enemies. So since we throw around meta like no tomorrow, I decided to coin it with my own term, something called super weapons. So I define a super weapon as a weapon that has a unique mechanic that allows them to be stronger than most other weapons. So super weapons need a unique mechanic, and again, they must be stronger than most other weapons, no exceptions. This can be in one particular regard, like the Mr. Beast Sword and Shield, which is the strongest raw melee weapon if you put them together, and that's how it's a super weapon. The super weapon must also do a high amount of damage, or again, exceed the damage of most weapons in the game. I'm not talking about the Bone Gum Lance where you sit there and you charge and fire. No, it's not like that. It's something where overall in the entire battle, because of its abilities, ability to hit weak spots, etc., and the fact that it has a unique skill, it just is insane in all aspects and regards and can dodge and destroy pretty much everything else in the game, or again, whatever's related to it. As we see here, the Black Diablo's Bow, the Teostra Bow, and Teostra Bow have a unique mechanic, having a charge level 3 at damage level 4, which is only 2 blinks. So if you tap, hold, and charge, it takes 2 blinks for you to fire at full power for that damage type. In addition, it also allows them to charge sidestep faster than the rest of the bows in the game. So you have extreme offense as well as extreme defense and repositioning, making the bows that have this mechanic extremely powerful and clearly a classification of a super weapon. In addition, the Mr. Beast Sword and Shield also classifies as a super weapon. Like I mentioned before, it is the most powerful raw melee weapon in the game, but it also has its own unique skill. So this unique skill, equipment skill, allows you to deal additional damage when performing certain actions. Combine this, again, with it being the most powerful raw melee weapon in the game, it is a super weapon. Not as hard to build as the other ones, but it definitely is up there as far as the classification of, again, being a super weapon. In addition, you also have an additional affinity, so you have affinity and a unique skill along with high raw, and that's just a recipe for a super weapon. And now that you know what a super weapon is, here's the Teostra Bow and the rest of the super weapons base damage comparison. So we're going to compare the Teostra Bow's base damage with the rest of the current super weapons in the game, again at their base values. So no builds, no additional stuff whatsoever, just the mechanics for having charge level 3 at damage level 4 and affinity taking into account. So if we do all the math, you put all the sims together, in terms of sheer weapon damage, the Teostra Bow is the lowest out of the rest of the super weapons. Those percentages are pretty dang high. Now I know of course the Teostra Bow must be against a super weak monster, otherwise you're not going to get these results. But even then, if you put it together, it's pretty clear that the other 3 weapons, super weapons in the game, do beat out the Teostra weapon in terms of sheer damage. And I know everyone's going to be out there, but they has blast. That's what I'm going to talk about here. In terms of outside of sheer weapon damage, it does have blast. But we also have to take into account, in addition, the Teostra Bow has the weakest bow shot type with rapid. So even though you can make up for the lack of raw base damage by proccing its blast element, do keep in mind in comparison to the other bows that are super weapons, it has the weakest damage type, which again is rapid. And now that we've compared the Teostra Bow and the rest of the super weapons as far as base damage, here is the Endgame build damage comparison. So we did base value. How about we input all of the best builds as far as Endgame goes, no drift smelts, and let's take a look at the data. And as you see here, with its endgame build, the Teostra Bow is super close with the Mr. Beast Sword and Shield, even with the charge level 3 at damage level 4 taken into account. It's literally 15 damage, theoretical damage points. It's not a lot. So on paper, yeah, it beats it. However, taking blast into account, it's probably better than the Mr. B Sword and Shield because it's so close. However, despite that, yeah, that's just Mr. B Sword and Shield, but even with the blast damage taken into account, the Black Diablo's Bow and Kushala Bow just do way too much damage. It's a huge 15 is nothing. Really isn't. But a whole whopping 1,000, over 1,000. That's how much is the difference between the Black Diablo's Bow and the Teostra Bow if you were to put them together at full power. Yes, Teostra Bow does have Blast, but the thing is, if you watch my test video with Blast, your raw damage will do more damage than your Blast as you upgrade the Teostra Bow. So with its full build, you're not going to get as many blasts as you normally would at lower levels. This means that the Teostra Bow, even though at full build, it does look really good, it's not as good as it looks if you put it into application, just because of how it works. Most of your damage is from raw, not from blast. So if you have another weapon with a super high raw value, or another weapon with a super high elemental value, like with the Kushala Bow, there's no real way Teostra Bow beats it, unless the monster is weak to blast. In addition, the Black Diablo's Bow has the strongest shot type with the bow with Pierce, and Kushala is able to use Spread, which can rival Pierce damage. So if we take everything into account, Black Diablos and Kushala are just way too powerful, and in most scenarios, unless again it's the monster's weak to blast, will take over the Teostra Bow. In closing, hopefully this video helps you decide if you want to max out the Teostra Bow. Despite its lack of practical damage, in comparison to the top two super weapons, the Teostra Bow is still worth investing into it if you really want to. So that's only if you really want to. However, remember there will be better super weapons in the future, and Elder Dragon weapons are extremely expensive and time consuming. Took me over 150 to like 200 plus Kushala to max out my grade 10.5 Kushala Bow. I also spent a whole lot of money on tickets, so from personal experience I can attest it is extremely expensive. And driving around in circles for hours to find those 8-star Elder Dragon interceptions is definitely draining. So if you've never done that, you shouldn't be giving advice on it. If you have done it, you are an elite company and you definitely deserve to say your piece, because you know how hard it is and how difficult it is, because it's way more expensive than those that have never done it. Way more expensive and way more difficult and time consuming than you can imagine. Please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Whether you decide to go after this beast or not, I wish you the best of luck in your drops, and hopefully those horns and tails are dropping plenty for you right now. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.